Hi, I'm Renee Richel, the founder and president of One True Match. I'm here to help you find and cultivate the love of your life. For over a decade, I've dedicated my life to the importance, purpose, and dynamic of human relationships. My team and I are disciplined by faith, love, and integrity to help our clients find the quality relationship they've always dreamt of. Each week, I will be sharing the tools and tips I've learned that have rooted my success as a matchmaker with other leaders around the world. Hello, loves. Welcome back for another fun talk. I'm here with Connie.
Hi, everyone. It's good to be back.
And we are excited to talk about another topic that this one actually came from our team because we are always talking about how to build a solid foundation, which is so important when it comes to, well, let's just be honest, all relationships in life, right? Because if your foundation is not solid, your house will crumble. Everything around you will crumble. So we are going to talk about today the 4 F's to have a solid foundation for success.
Yeah.
And this you can take in any direction.
Yeah, I mean, this comes with friendship, life, relationships, marriage, pretty much everything.
Yes.
Pretty much a life lesson.
Because we have 4 and we can go on and on and on, we're just going to dive right into it and start with the most important one. We're going to go kind of like 1, I guess, to 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all important.
Yeah.
But I would say if you do this in order, you will have a solid foundation. And of course, there's other things you can use, but if you remember nothing more, remember these 4 words because I think it is the key ingredient to actually getting the right recipe to have a solid foundation.
So your house to continue standing.
Right, and your love and all the other things. It's so important that you have faith.
Yeah.
You need the ingredient of faith because without faith, you've got nothing. Yeah. And I don't mean to be so harsh in that regards, but at the end of the day, if you don't believe you can build a house, you won't. Yeah. If you don't believe you can be successful in your career, you won't. If you don't believe that you are going to have the love of your life someday and you're going to be successful in a relationship, you're not going to.
Yeah.
So it's so important that you have faith. And when we talk about faith, obviously it's faith in yourself, but it's also faith in our obviously practice of Christianity is believing in God and Jesus and that we are moving in the direction of believing in something that is going to give us that peace of mind to be able to be strong.
Yeah, and always to remember that there's already a plan and to have faith in that plan because that's what so many people will come to us especially and be like, this isn't happening. Okay, well then lean back, take a step back and lean on your faith, have faith. And I mean, faith is a big word because it comes in so many, forms and variety, but it's also make sure you're leaning on your faith. And if it's church, if it's whatever, it's your community, if you aren't attending church right now, but you need to take your own self time to reflect on your faith, rely on God, pray more. We always say, pray about what you're wishing for right now and not just, the sunshines and rainbows of, hey, I want to be in this wonderful relationship. We always talk about the needs and wants and it's like focus on those things that you really need and continue to pray for them daily. And also do not lose that faith when it isn't happening right away because we often experience that. People come to us saying, it's not happening. And it's like, okay, it wasn't promised overnight and you have to believe in the plan and have faith that it's all in God's timing.
Yes, and for our single folks out there, sometimes we ask people, are you involved in a church? Do you have a church family? Do you have a church community? And so many singles people, I remember being in that. Nobody wants to go to a place by yourself, but at the end of the day, if you find a loving, plant church or something like that welcomes you in, there's nothing better to kind of surround yourself around other faithful people because I know that's how I found my faith because I put myself into an environment, no clue that God was directing me there, to be around a lot of happy people and I was like, I want to drink their Kool-Aid, what are they doing? And then everybody's a strong believer, which then inspired me to want to do something. God obviously blessed us with a Christian matchmaking company, but also to be able to do that in other people and you speak that to others. Yeah. So if you're, lonely or you just feel like and we just did a podcast on getting out of your comfort zone, go to a church until you find one that is like, hi, welcome, I'm so glad you're here, come back or whatever it is because that faith is the solid foundation to anything when things are hard, when things are tough, to build up that momentum, to plant it on concrete so it will not wash away. And so that's like, I would say the first one of building a solid foundation.
And have that faith in also your community, that your community is there for you, like Renee said, and this
So
is
true.
mainly on our single people, is, you know, have faith that everyone else is praying for you, everyone else is hoping the best for you, and your time will come. And then also when it comes to a relationship, when things get hard, don't just veer away. Remember to keep that faith and keep it strong, to really have that foundation. Faith is the foundation.
Right, exactly. So the next one, which is one of the biggest reasons why people get divorced today. So listen up to this. You know, if you are single, get this right from the beginning. If you are in a relationship and you're thinking, well, why is it so bad and all these other things, this could be the root of your problem, is finance. So it's so important that you get your finances right. I do a podcast, or well, I haven't done a podcast, but I do talks on being financially sexy is just as important as finding, obviously, because without having your finances in control and being financially sexy, first of all, you wouldn't want to be with somebody that doesn't have that together, right?
So we always say about getting our ducks in a row, and it truly is. With finances, you have to have your ducks in a row and, you know, have a plan, an expectation. And we're not saying that you have to be, you know, super, super successful to be in a, you know, you don't have to be, we're not saying that you have to be successful to be in a great relationship, because I just want to make sure that it doesn't come across that way. But it's, you still have to make sure that you are very in control of what your finances are and having your ducks in a row and things lined up how they should be.
Right, and it's success, I think what Connie's trying to say is like success can come at all different levels. You don't have to be a millionaire, a billionaire, or even just a whatever. But the reality of it is like you need to be financially secure in what your goals are before you, just like we always say, you have to be emotionally ready, you have to be financially sexy, you have to have all these things in a line before God is going to bless you with a relationship. Because if that is burdening you and you're choosing somebody because they're financially secure and you're not yourself, then guess what? You're going to wonder down the road why it didn't work out. It's because you were settling on somebody because they had the financial means to be able to do what you can't do, which is completely the wrong reason for choosing somebody. Because you should be choosing somebody that, God forbid, all goes awry, right? And the two of you had to live underneath a bridge. You're with the right partner. Yeah. Right? Because two people will never end up under the bridge if they truly are with the right partner, because they'll never get to that point because the communication is strong, the finances are not out of control, and somebody hasn't blown through all of somebody else's money. And so I think when it comes to marriage and relationships too, they struggle with this, because without having money, you can't do fun things, right? Without having, and then you just get on each other, and then it's like, oh my gosh, I mean, you can be in a position where some people then nag on somebody because of the smallest little spending habits or whatever they have, right? So it's so important that your finances are, maybe they're not where they are today, but you set goals. I mean, I'm not trying to push everybody out there to financial advisors, but we have a ton that we do work with. And at the end of the day, I'm always like, it's also about building a relationship with your financial guru, whatever you want to call it, and then sitting down and talking about your growth. I think so many people, they get settled on somebody, and then they really, they kind of, I mean, obviously we all want to make money while we sleep, right? But at the end of the day, it's also so important to try new things, because if something's not getting you where you want to get, it's important that you talk to other, consultants or things like that if you're somebody that you are savvy with finance, that's great. Yeah. But we usually choose our opposite. So if you're choosing somebody that then's not, or then you have two people that all they worry about is money, then how are you also having fun?
Yeah, so there has to be a healthy balance. And I think that also before you even get married, part of it's when people don't
our
do
premarital courses and stuff we go through. It's so important.
Yeah, when people don't do premarital and they're like, okay, yeah, but we're so great. And it's not even just about your relationship. It's things about finances. Finance is a huge, huge topic that you should be and need to be talking about before you get married. Because when people are on two different pages, it will absolutely ruin you. And I know even a friend recently, fortunately, has gone through a divorce and unfortunately didn't do the right resources, but also because finance broke them because they were on different pages.
Yeah.
And if you guys aren't going to have a set up plan of success together, and also be open communication about finance. Money is one of the toughest things to talk about.
Right, because nobody wants to sit down and go through all the line items and talk about budgets and do any of those things. Because let's be honest, it's not really that fun.
Yeah.
So you don't do it.
But
you have to do it.
And it's like, if you're not going to have that financing, your ducks in a row, and even if, and I say that also very carefully, as you may have debt, or there may be something that you're, still have outstanding. I'm not saying that your ducks in a row have to be, like Renee said, a millionaire, no debt, but there needs to be a successful plan of action to get you in a financial place that you'll both feel at peace with and that you both are aware of. You can't hide something from the other person. You have to be really open and honest when it comes to finances, and also to allow you to have a happy marriage or a successful relationship with anyone.
And if you're looking for a tip of how to bring this up, because we always love, suggesting ideas of how couples can bring this up, or even if you're single, again, because the more you know about yourself, the better you're going to present yourself, right? So there is it's called, we'll put it in like the notes, but I think it's 5moneypersonalities.com or something like that. We'll put it in the notes, but where you can actually take a financial kind of assessment that's fun, and it comes up, and you might already know this, but it's kind of fun when somebody else like puts it together for you, right, as an assessment. Are you a saver? Are you a spender? Are you, like all these different areas to help you really better understand your way of being. And if you have an accountability person in your life, you can say, okay, this is not fun to talk about this, but I'm a big spender and I need help. Then the suggestion probably would come back is, well, let's set a budget, which doesn't sound like fun, but you know why it's fun at the end? Because the reward is you're not broke.
Yeah.
So it's important to be able to kind of just know your habits, but also know your partners and have a discussion. Like, are we somebody that wants to save continuously because we want to give it to our grandchildren someday? Or are we somebody that also wants to, we've worked hard, we want to enjoy it while we go along the path, but also still save for the things that are most important for us. So.
Yeah, and it's all about balance. And when also being a single person to listen to this, you might think, oh, I don't need to do that until the time comes. No, you need to sit down and figure out your finances first and what your vision of what that other person, when you, like we always say, practice being married, practice being in a relationship, but truly, like, go through your finances on yourself alone, figure that out, but then also think, what is your vision for when you are married? What does that look like? Whether it's shared accounts, not shared accounts. Like, those are big topics and people have very different opinions on them. And what seems normal to you, to someone else, might not.
And I was going to say, and this should be an open discussion, because I think so many times people come to us, obviously, as matchmakers, and they come with their wish list, and they come with all of their expectations, and they're like, okay, so I definitely want 2 bank accounts, and I definitely want this, and I definitely want that, which is good. But let's not lead with that right when we meet somebody, because the reality of it is God has a plan for the two of you. God has a plan for your finances. You can't take any of this to heaven with you, right? So part of that is actually helping an open discussion of why you feel that way, because I think the reality of it, the thing is, what people forget about is to like discuss this, but also know that you're not going to be in a relationship by yourself. So you're going to be with another partner to be able to say, okay, how can we do this together? Maybe we have like 2 separate accounts, but then we have one together, whatever. The point is, you can't sit there and say, this is everything I'm going to do. I want it this way. Because at the end of the day, then you're better off just being single if you're not going to say, what are we going to compromise on and how are we going to do this? But it's really important that you get your finances in a place where you are, you feel happy and it's not sucking the life out of you.
And you will, and you have a vision of it, but can also be flexible. I mean, we always say marriage is about compromise, and compromise is going to be one of those things with finance, that you're not going to go in, all blaring and it's going to be only your way, because it takes 2. And if you're going to continue sharing a home and having everything together, that's a conversation that you're not going to be able to move past and have a solid foundation. The foundation will crack if you haven't crossed those bridges.
Right, which is so true. And so since we're talking about building a solid foundation, it's important first you have your faith. Second of all, you get your finance in order. This next one, you're going to be really excited about. I think it's really important. I think people forget this when they think about like building a foundation, because let's be honest, when you build a house, it sounds like a great idea and the end result is great, but the actual journey of it is a lot of work. There's no construction that ever goes according to a time plan. And if it goes up too quick, then you probably have problems down the road because everything's going to break because it went up too fast, right?
That is true. Like if you're too serious about everything and anything in life, then when it's actually time to have fun, you sit there and you're like, crickets.
Right.
I don't know what to do.
And if you are in the middle, because we're using this example of building a house right now, and you're in the middle of building a house, and this really resonates with you, or maybe it has in the past because, we've all experienced some form of probably construction in our life, is when all of that's happening and you are losing faith, and we gotta okay, we need to pray about this. We need to not go past our budget because then we're gonna be financially house broke, right?
Then you're going a little wild.
And then I think the next best tip that I'm gonna give you that is gonna be super exciting is to have fun.
Yes.
Because if we're not also adding the fun, the F for fun, into building this house or building a relationship or our career or even being a parent, if we're not stopping and having fun with our kids, we will resent our children, and it's not their fault because we chose to have them. Right?
Yeah, and also we know this. We will say this if we haven't said it in this podcast already. We have said it before. Me and Renee are planners, and sometimes you think in life, okay, we're doing this at this time, we're doing this at this time, we have school at this time, we have dinner at this time, and you forget to put fun in your life. And we'll sometimes check ourselves, even me and Renee, when we're working together, we'll have, a slam-packed week and it's crazy and it's busy and all that, and we'll even remind ourselves. So do this in also friendships, co-working, everything.
Yeah, right before this podcast, we were both saying, okay, we're gonna do our podcast, but we're like, let's have some fun after this.
Yeah, and
not that this isn't fun. This is totally fun. I just want to add that, but
yeah, but it's also reminding yourself that life cannot always be serious. And if in your relationship, and I always say, we always say, of course, invest in your relationship, go to therapy, do everything you need, and, invest in. But if you guys don't just take a step back and be like, let's do something that's almost mindless when it comes to all these serious things in life, you're not going to ever be able to let go. So even if it's, something silly together, right?
And I think,
simple.
and if you kind of do it in this order that we're suggesting, so first of all, talk about your faith, because that is what's going to build the reason for your foundation. Mm-hmm. Finance, let's just get it out of the way up front, right? And then once you do that, then it's let's have some fun because we have the financial means to be able to do this. That's been stressful, maybe talking about, hopefully it's not, but at the end of the day, check it off and then move to the fun camp because that's what's also going to grow the love for the house, the love for the relationship, and love for the career.
And if you aren't having fun, you're also not being flirty together. You're also just being in this motion of only building the house, and then we're having no breaks, we're having no lunchtime, we're just building the house. And then when you get all the houses all up and done, you're then going to sit back and be like, okay, now we don't even know how to have fun together, and we don't know how to spend.
You've lost the moment.
Yeah, spent the quality time together. So always have fun, always have laugh, and also pray. I'll say it and I'll say it again, but always date your mate, even while going through all of the stressful things.
Yeah, totally. And then the last 4 that we're going to talk about that I think is missed so many times, each one of these are obviously important, is the word forever. Mm-hmm. I think the reality of it is, and a house, sometimes you'll stay in it, you'll build another house, whatever, but in a relationship, it's so important. I think too many people get into a relationship, they really are just into lust, into passion, into the moment and all these things. And sure, and when you're in that place and you're about to get engaged, you're like, oh my gosh, the feelings, right? They're so amazing. That's their F word is feelings, right? But then the reality of it is nobody really thinks through the forever part. That's your intention, right? But have you actually gone step by step and gone through the faith, through the finance, the fun, but also really talk about what does forever look like. And this isn't just something that when things get hard, that's when things are great. Or when things are hard, easy, that's when things are great. And we're and you kind of think, well, it's good right now, everything is good. And so I don't think people talk about forever enough. And the only time it's it seems to be brought up is it's a feeling that we have in the beginning. We're well, of course we're going to be together forever. But how many times have you sat with your mate or you're even friends, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're single. So you've got amazing friends that are like, I mean, I have so many brothers and sisters. My poor daughter thinks everybody's an aunt and uncle. Not poor, but like at the end of the day, like everybody, we're family. Like my friends are my family.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it's having those conversations. And I think it's just that unspoken truth. But because you invest in that time, they will forever be in my life, our lives, right? Because we are thinking through not just today, but we're going to be there through the hard times, the good times, the bad times, all the things, because it's that forever bond that you have in friendship, in love, should be in a relationship. And it's something that, like, when we talk about couch talking, yes, I know if you've not listened to that, you've got to learn how to couch talk. It's so, like, just, it's needed in all relationships. But that could be if you're like, okay, I'm listening to Renee and, you know, we've scheduled couch talk this weekend. Like, what is it that we should talk about? Sit down and talk about forever.
Yeah.
Sit down and say, I want to talk about forever with you. You know why? Because I love you. And let's talk about it. Because whatever we talked about in the beginning, the goals may have shifted. Life may have happened. The house may have, heaven forbid, if you didn't build it this way, crumbled, right? At moments. And so it's so important that you're continuously bringing up that conversation. How is forever going to look? And how are we going to forever date our mate? And how are we forever going to be on this path to be in the best journey and relationship we want?
Yeah, 100%. And when it comes to forever, it's also investing from the start. I talked about premarital.
Yeah. I got you, girl.
Yeah, getting our words out. But, you know, we've talked about that during this podcast. And that truly is, it's setting yourself up for forever as well. It's setting you up when, of course, we're talking about the foundation. If you can't have that foundation, you know, to build when you don't have that, but also talking about forever in a realistic way. You know, we just spoke about the engagement and how it's all exciting because it's forever and it's woo, sunshine, rainbows, woohoo. But it's not like that. It truly isn't. You have to talk about reality when it comes to forever and how you're going to hurdle life together and how you're going to run the race together instead of being, okay, when things get tough, instead of just going our separate ways or drifting apart, you're also forever together in building this relationship.
Yes.
And it's easy. It's easy to forget sometimes. And what people, you know, when times get rough, they decide to go, you know, that there's an out, that there is room for, you know, there is an option to either get divorced or things like that. But when you really set that foundation of having forever, it doesn't give you an option in your mind, and it makes you truly work at it every day and every day and every night.
So obviously, we hope that you have found this podcast helpful and valuable. It's so important to build all relationships on a solid foundation. So remember, faith, finance, fun, and forever. And we hope that we enjoy you guys obviously writing in things. We hope you found this beneficial. We talk about this in our team, like building moments when we're all together, and it's really helped bring value in our company, and obviously we spread that love to others.
Yeah, and do it in all of your relationships in life because it'll really will set the foundation for success.
Absolutely. We're going to love and leave you and hope you have a blessed day.
Bye.
It's been another great talk on this episode of One True Talks by Renee Richel. I look forward to our next chat. Please write in your questions and comments so I can be sure to talk about whatever it is you want to discuss in our next upcoming episode. Lots of love. God bless. XOXO.